What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Comping USA. I'm one of the hosts. Of course, you know me. If you don't, first name Eddie, last name Charger, aka Mama. There goes that man. I'm so excited to have you guys back for 1 hour. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of things, comping deals all over this God given, beautiful USA. And basically, what it means is if you have a deal, you want to jump on, right? And now we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're all over the place. So I really do appreciate everybody joining and saying what's up in the chat. Definitely good. I'm actually going to make sure we jump on Instagram as well, just to be able to get people to understand how great of a show this is. And the reason why it's a great show is simple. If you are a wholesaler and you have a deal and you want to be able to get this deal out, what you can do is take your deal, come here, we'll show you how to comp the deal using one of our platforms. And we'll even explain to you how to find a buyer. We'll also show you exactly what it takes into comping a deal in 2023. And if you don't know this by now, then you should. The market is not the same. So if you went to sleep sometime in 2022 and you just now waking up, you are waking up to a brand new day, brand new place, brand new market. And you need to understand how this affects your business, how it affects your buyers, and what does that mean for you? How should you be looking at deals? What type of deals you should be looking at? These are all important things that we are going to go over and make happen. So I'm glad you guys are here. Once again, we are getting rolling. Michael, what's going on? Let's go. Super hyped, super excited. Let's do it. My guy Ray, back in full effect. I absolutely love it. This is really, really cool. Like, these are the individuals that you see here. They show up every week, right? We used to be able to do, a show we used to have was called Comping Atlanta, where we did basically the same thing, but we would just focus on Atlanta, right? And we would talk wholesale deals, we would talk creative deals, all of it, right? And so we've changed the format because on the side, people would hit me up and be like, yo, I got a deal, but it's in like Tennessee, right? So like, can I still send it to you? And so we're changing the format so we can wholesale, you can do creative deals. If you guys know, creative is my love passion. It's actually my love language. And that's one of the things that we discuss. And it just so happens, from the goodness of the kind heart, Bravey House, what's up, man? Listen, you guys gotta follow. We're on Instagram too. You gotta follow Brave V House. If you've seen any of my YouTube footage, that is the mastermind dual team that is behind making me look as good as I look, which I think is really, really hard, right? So give them a follow, show some love. If you guys are on here, you want to be able to join us, the fastest and easiest way to do it is to either join us on one of these Facebook groups or just go to my YouTube page. If you go to Eddie Charger, Eddy Charger, you'll be able to join us. We're doing Comping Atlanta, and I have a guest that I got to bring on. You guys might know her from last week. She was on this show, giving more game than anybody can imagine. And also, I had several people hit me up and was like, yo, I just got off the masterclass that they did on Privy, and I was blown away. This was like top tier stuff. And I was super excited to be able to bring her back. Ladies and gentlemen, Crystal Law, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh man, if I was
I'm
doing
ready to go.
if I was doing any better, I'd probably be you. You know what I mean?
Right. Look,
That'd be
it's
it.
just a good day today. We're going to make it a good day today.
We're gonna make it a great day today. I love it. I love it. So here's what I want to do. I want to kind of jump straight into it. Again, if you guys are on, I should set something up, but it'd be kind of stupid. You can just join me on here. But we're gonna talk a little bit, right? Crystal, I want you to kind of give us some insight on what does it mean to comp and do it efficiently in 2023 compared to how we were comping last year? Like, what are some of the changes that are happening that is important to know how to comp effectively?
Yeah, honestly, it was a huge change. I went from using like 60 to 90 days for my comping, and I had to drop it down to 30. Um, just California alone is super difficult to comp sometimes, and just having to rearrange because I wasn't finding the good deals, anymore.
Mm.
It was hard, and so I had to change the way I was navigating through Privy. And once I figured out that middle spot, that middle ground, it I ended up changing it to 30 days, and had to take some of my numbers down, but I think like everything else, pretty much, I kept a lot of the same comping rules that I was using before. I really just changed the way I looked at my numbers because everything was changing so drastically and so quick, and I didn't really have enough experience. So yeah, it was really difficult, but I pretty much just took it down to 30 days. And that was probably the biggest change because it wiped away a lot of my comps, a lot of them.
Wow. So this is really good insight because a lot of people here, right, are just like, oh, okay, I couldn't find nothing in 60 days, or I couldn't
Yeah.
find it in 30 days, so I'm gonna go up to 6 days, and that's good enough to use, right? Because
Hmm.
we're used to using 90 days, right?
Yeah.
Minimum, right? I know some people used
Yeah.
to use 180 days. But you're
Hmm.
basically what you're saying is if you're comping now and you're doing anything like you were doing last year, you are not going to get this deal at the right price.
No, no, because everything has changed at that point. So the same a house that was running at $2 million last year in the same area isn't running for that 2 million anymore. It's a lot of times it's dropped, so you have to change, the amount of time, the length that you give yourself, and then you also have to change some other stuff because you want to make sure that you're giving the right information to your investors, like, hey, I found these comps, but then they're looking at you kind of crazy because you're using comps that just don't, you already can tell the numbers don't make sense on certain things, especially if you've been comping for a while. So yeah.
Got you. That's really, really good. I think that alone is a great indicator of like what you should be doing different and how you should move. So now, what if you don't find comps, right? Like that's a big issue that we have. Like, what if you
Hmm.
don't find comps that are in that 30-day window? What are we supposed to be doing now?
Yeah, I think like typically your market, right? Like, well, you should know your market. In California, I was able to really hit up Redfin, Zillow, those other the other ones, and you can find some comps, but let's just say, for instance, you don't find a comp on Zillow or Redfin. You really have to use your knowledge of that area. That's when I kick in with Google Maps. I really do my research on the area itself. If I
Mhm.
don't already know it, I look on Google Maps. I see what type of neighborhood I'm dealing with, where it's at. And typically, you don't really necessarily have to do all that because we don't. As investors, we don't really typically care about that stuff, right? We just,
Yeah.
as long as the numbers make sense. But in this case, I was having to pull out everything else, pull out all the stops.
Okay, so that's a good point. I want to kind of make this come across as well. Shout out to anybody that's joining us on IG. We're on IG
Mhm.
live right now. You can hear the conversation, but you can't see what's going on. In a little bit, we are going to open up and share a screen. So if you want to, I would join on YouTube. Just type in Comping Atlanta. I'm sorry, that's the old show. Comping USA. You'll be able to find us there. So what you're saying, Crystal, is super, super impactful, I think, right? Because I was told if I got batch or privy or prop stream, that's all I need, right? But
Mhm.
you're explaining to me here that like, hey, if I can't find it using privy, which you're using privy because it's one of the ones that, and I respect that. Like you decided, hey, I'm gonna master this one, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have accounts to all three. I'm just going to master
Mhm.
one. I'm going to become the master at that one, which I recommend, right? Like, I don't think people need to be going back and forth between different software systems. They all do the same. Just pick which one you like and
Right.
master one. But I like
Yeah.
the fact that you said, like, hey, if it's not what I find, then I go to Redfin, I go to Zillow and see if I can get other data points to make things work. So that's really, really good. I hope people get that. Now, this kind of is a great segue for the next thing I want to discuss, right? In this market, I think it's safe to say that Crystal and I are on the same page that this is a whole different market than it was last year. Okay.
Yeah.
In this market, you should not be trying to focus on going wide or big.
Mm-mm.
In order to have success, you need to do two things. One, you need to be lean. So if you are part of a team or had a team and there's 10 of y'all, it's time to cut the fat. Okay. Listen,
Yeah.
if Twitter is firing 50% of their workforce, but somehow you think you can keep your big team, maybe you're not operating correctly, right? So that's the first thing, right? Shout out to Mo, what's going on? Hey, Ashley. And then the other thing is you need to understand now is the time to really reel in on your relationships and build backwards. So
Yeah.
before you can talk to a seller, I get a deal in the contract, right? All right, perfect. You know what? I'm gonna go to the gym. So I go to the gym, I get my workout on, I'm looking good, feeling great. Then I step out the gym and I simply hold up my contract in the middle of the air. And
Mm.
10 cash buyers would push each other over to get to my contract. That was the market that we were in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they were fighting to just make 10%
Yeah.
of return. Okay.
Hmm.
In this market, your arm will get tired or just fall off if you try the
Yeah.
same method, right? So it's totally different. So if you're a wholesaler, this is how you got to go about it. What you have to do is you have to reverse engineer it. Before you go looking for 10,000 deals, go
Right.
find five. I'm not even gonna tell you
Yes.
10. I'm telling you, just go find five cash buyers. But you have to. This is where you start to call a spade, right? There's a saying that happened where people were saying like, this is the type of market you realize who was swimming with shorts on and who wasn't. Okay, a lot of the people you were following that was posting crazy, oh, we getting deals, posting checks. All of a sudden, they're not posting anymore. It's kind of funny. I don't know, right? Or they're not posting anything anymore. They're not showing any activity, but they got programs to sell. Oh yeah, we know we're selling coaching and this, that, and the third. I don't know. I'm just saying. I know a lot of the players, the people I roll with, they doing work.
You're
I'm just
speaking the
saying,
truth.
if you're following somebody that was a big wholesaler, now all of a sudden all they doing is selling coaching, that
Hmm.
might be because they can't get a deal done, but they can sell you on what
Yeah.
they were doing to be successful, but not what to do to be successful. Because if you
Mm.
could do what you would be, if you could do what needs to be done to be successful, you would do it and still be able to coach. But enough of that, right? We're not gonna go down that path. But here's what I'm saying. Okay. I would tell you guys what you should do is get five cash buyers,
Yeah.
five people that you know, um, to be able to like listen, go into your your database, know exactly why what deals you're buying, what areas you're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Find out their buy box. Essentially, I'm telling you guys, become a bird dog for five cash buyers. You will be extremely successful. It's going to be ridiculous. You
Yeah.
just look around and people are going to wonder, like, yo, how you get all these deals? And you can be like, it's because I was on Comping USA, man. I saw it. So here's what I want to do. To start off, I want Crystal to be able to do something actually. I want you to help us find buyers.
Hmm.
We're going to be using Privy today. And in this whole section, we're going to be using Privy. So if you don't have Privy, use whatever program that you want that's similar that can do the same thing. We're on Privy right now.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to use Privy, and I want you to show us how do we find buyers. Okay. And then we'll start comping deals that somebody may have or that I have ready to go, and we'll get into it. Now, guys, we only here for an hour. So when we get in here, we're going to work. We're trying to give you guys as much value as possible, and we did it. All right. So that's what we're going to do. If you guys are on Instagram, totally get it. But we about to start sharing screen. It's going to be weird. Y'all just looking at me all day without nothing to look at. So I'm going to hang up this right here. Crystal, go ahead and start to share your screen. We'll push
All
this
right.
over. If you guys want to catch the replay, you can. This will be posted on the YouTube channel. Just type in Comping USA or type my name, Eddie Charger, and you'll be able to see it as EDDY Charger. Now, if you are in Atlanta, definitely want to make sure that you guys are going to show up tonight. We're doing an event. It's going to be dope. We're going to be talking creative financing. We have one of the top real estate attorneys that are coming that closes creative deals all day, every day. We have Abraham Gray. He's one of my business partners. If you know Abraham, I would say he's probably the biggest cash buyer in Atlanta that is not a hedge fund, just a single individual person. So that's the second thing. And I also got my guy, Maurice Grant, who is a phenomenal fion when it comes to building credit, using credit, personal and business, in order to be able to use that as means to get into real estate deals with no money down, no money out your pocket, and the deal is paying back everything that you borrowed. All right, so that's going to be in Atlanta tonight at 7. I will post the link. I see Highly Gifted just asked where. It's going to be tonight at 7 in what I'll do is, as soon as you get off this live, I will post exactly the address of where it's going to be, so you guys can be able to catch it. But I will tell you right now, since we're on here, where it's going to be. So it's going to be at a spot called Bury the Hatchet. The address is 6450 Roswell Road. It's in Atlanta. That's 6450 Roswell Road. Starts at 7 tonight. Spot called Bury the Hatchet. All right. All right. Peace. See y'all. Join us on here if you're trying to get down. Are you ready, Crystal?
Yep.
Let's get it. Let's do it.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to show you guys kind of like a reverse, I guess you could call it a REI or reverse. I'm just going to show you guys how I find the majority of my buyers on Privy. So just for this sake, we're going to go up to filters. I'm going to put in 60% of the ARV. This is where I usually start at. You guys don't have to follow my suit, but this is kind of what we teach in the Privy Masterclass that we do for free. And so I do 60% of the ARV, fix and flip, single, attached, multifamily. I want to do nationwide search. I want to also do Privy preferred. So let's run the search. And again, you guys can learn all that on the masterclass that we put on. We'll have all the links, should be set up for you guys in the chat. If not, we'll get it for you in a little bit. Yep. All right. So let's just do California for right now, because that's what I'm used to comping and what I'm used to going for. So I just pretty much go for the higher number. So this is close to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I click on it, and so let's just see what this just popped up. This is in Oakland on 64th. I already know that this is not too good of a neighborhood, but there are investors actively out there. So I kind of just go through and see what I got, see what I'm looking at. So let's just click on this one and see if we can't find a buyer through here. So I click on it. It's a Privy preferred. We already know it's at 60% of the ARV. You do need to go in and run your own numbers. Okay. This is where I go down and I click comparables. And this is going to give me everything that's pretty much sold, bought, everything that's on the MLS in that area. So I go down to my list, and, of course I want to see all the investor activity, but I also want to see all the sold activity. My list is really going to give me, so you see right here how somebody, let's go to this one on Holly.
Hold on, Crystal. We're just
yeah.
right now, all we can see is San Jose. We're not seeing anything else. So maybe you have to reset.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. You guys can't see anything on Privy right now?
All we see is the map. So what I would do is stop sharing.
Okay.
And then share again.
Okay.
There we go. We'll do it that way. So if you guys are following along, okay, yeah, I'm getting some people telling me that, yeah, it was just looking at the map. Okay. All right, so we got it. All right, now I think we got it. If you're in the chat, if you're hitting me up on my phone, let me know if you can see it. I can see it moving. So let me know. Capital Homes, what's going on?
Okay, so I'm going to go back out to the search so you guys can see exactly what I did. So
yeah. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. If you're in the chat, type in what, because you know what happens, Crystal? A lot of times people are watching something, be like, okay, yeah, I got it. And then they go try to do their market and something small was different and it throws them off. So if you're watching this now, type in what market, what state do you want Crystal to find cash buyers in? And we're gonna find it right now.
Good job. Okay.
That way people can't touch your gangster, Crystal. You see what I'm saying? They
right.
gotta know
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, pick whatever state you guys want. We with it. So
yeah, and even if you want to go further than that, just give me some addresses. If you want to go further than that, we'll see if we can't find you a buyer in that area.
Ooh, I like that. So we'll do both. We'll pick one state, and then we'll have somebody give us an address for a property that they have that they're looking for a buyer, and then we'll do that. Alex, what's going on? Thank you for letting me know that. All right, so here we go. We got. Let's do North Carolina.
Okay.
So that's the state, and then we're getting an address in. Let's see what's up. I see Ashley's in here. Ashley, give us an address. There we go. Alice gave us North Carolina.
Do we have a specific address for North Carolina or just the state itself?
Let's see, Alex, what you got? You got an actual location in North Carolina? Give us the city that.
Or a zip code.
Oh, a zip code would be better. So typically, Crystal, are you doing zip codes? Is that how you kind of do it?
You can do it how you can really typically do it however you want. When you're actually in the search toolbar, can you guys see my search?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in the search, you can type in the zip code, you can type in the address, or you can, in your filters, you can just do nationwide. It's just really dependent upon, or you can just type in the state. So you can actually do it multiple ways.
Okay, perfect. So we got 27610. And then the address that we got is going to be a property over in Texas. So that's cool.
So that's the zip code 27610?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so let's search that up. Let's see what we got. Nothing. All right. So Summit, Texas, you guys got to understand that some of this stuff is not on the MLS yet. And so there are,
go ahead.
Yeah, there's certain spots that aren't actually on the MLS. Like they're not on Privy yet. So some of those Summit, like places like this, we want to actually type in an actual physical address. But let me see if I can't see if there's another code in that area. Okay, so I scrolled in. I do have them around it, so we can do 27. Oh, okay, here we go. 27610. Okay. All right, so
I love stuff like this because if somebody was by themselves and did that search and typed it in, they would have stopped, right? They would be like, "Oh, there's
yeah,
nothing there."
exactly. Sometimes with Privy, it's just you just got to scroll in and it'll actually open it up for you. So it'll say there's nothing there, but if you just scroll in, then it'll show you everything. So right here we have one that's 650,000. It says that it's a Privy preferred. We have the V right here. The V is Privy preferred, and you'll find all that out in the master class for Privy. So let's just click on it. Let's see if we can't find us a buyer here. So we want to scroll down and we want to go to comparables. I want to see typically, so this is a great one. Okay. So we have an amendment right here. So the investment was they bought the house at 500, and this is how I know it's an investment property because it's been flipped. So you see that they bought it for 580K and they turned it into 2.25 million. All right. So we're going to click on this and we want to just see what we're looking at. Now this is third party MLS. However, we're going to click on it anyway. So
now, what
for teaching.
What does that mean? Third party MLS.
So the third party MLS is basically saying that this is a property that they got from Redfin or Zillow because it's not actually on the MLS data for Privy yet. And if it was on MLS data, this little third party thing would be blue. So you would know that it's MLS data because of that.
There you go. And you saw when you just highlighted over it, it gave you the
And know that sometimes with the MLS, this is just a little time in, but sometimes what happens with the third parties is you'll see it's been on the market. Say it's just been on the market for like 190 days. You know that pretty much that is probably not on the market anymore. It's probably off, but you still check. So you just double check by clicking on it and it'll take you to Redfin. It'll take you to the third party that they actually got the information from. All right, so we're gonna scroll down, and so what I do is I go to property information. So I want to go to public records. So if you guys see right here on this right on my right, but you're gonna see public records. You want to click on that. The public records is typically going to give you all the information. In this case, let's see, property history. So this is going to give you all the information of when the house was sold, bought, everything. Right here, you can see that the last transaction, you can see right here that this was the main transaction. And so this is going to tell you who bought the home and who sold the home. So the buyer in this case was Homestead Building Company. They bought it at $858,000. And then now they're listing it at 2.25. Personally, I don't see where they got these numbers from if the property is still unfinished. But if the property is finished with a brand new house built on it, just imagine that that's what it is and that now the house has been flipped and this is what it was actually being sold for. And so now how you find your buyer and your seller is that right here, you'll see that it has the buyer as Homestead Building Company. We know that they're actively flipping as of 9/13/2021. They're actively flipping homes in that area. And so this is a potential buyer right here. And also seller, which is Tilly Stephan, estate of Ann Tilly. This is also a potential seller as well. A lot of times when they have estate in there or something in there, they could possibly have multiple homes that they're maybe actively trying to get rid of, or maybe they have multiple in their estate and they want to sell some off. You're calling in and actively calling, they go through you to get rid of some of their properties on a closed market type of thing. So just keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is, or what I would do in this situation is, say I was really interested in this specific buyer. I'm writing down their name and I'm going to go back and I'm going to skip trace these people, and I'm going to find out a number so that I can call them and I can say, hey, my name is Crystal, and I have purchased some property in that area, and I noticed that you bought the house down the street, and I was wondering if you were interested in flipping some more homes. I have some that I'm selling actively, and I believe that they would really fit. And I think that the ARV would be great for you. And you can kind of see too, like what they're looking at when they bought this house. They just saw that it was 800 and something thousand, but they did their due diligence and they figured out, okay, well, what is this neighborhood really worth? And then, they went and did what they needed to do. So you as an investor, as a wholesaler or a real estate, whichever one you are, or even an investor or a buyer, you can now go back and look at these properties and be like, oh, okay, now I have my buyer.
So check this out. Right? I'm sharing my screen right now. I'm going to go back just so everybody can know exactly what happened. And I just typed in the company, Homestead Building Company.
There you
All
go.
I did was Google, guys. I didn't do anything else yet. All right.
Yeah.
And they have a page. They seem to be a big deal. They're on YouTube, but also here's a phone number. Look at the type of houses that they built. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There's your people right there. Call them. Here's another thing that you could do, right? Another thing that you could do, Crystal, correct me if I'm wrong, but couldn't he, since this property is listed, couldn't he reach out to the agent?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. And it's really dependent upon whether it's an active scene or not. Sometimes you'll find that most of them have already been sold, or they've already, some of them do stay, some of them are still active. So if it is still active, please reach out to the agent. The agent might have multiple properties as well, or they're going to know too, that personal relationship with that specific buyer. They're already going to know, okay, because most of them already have that relationship with their buyers, especially people like this who are actively investing. And you see that they're actively investing, so that real estate that agent is going to know, okay, hey, we actually have a lot of off-market properties. I met one guy who actually had like 7 other properties, and he didn't want to do an on-market deal. He wanted off-market. He didn't want to deal with all the hustle and bustle of putting it on the MLS and paying all the extra money for the agent. So when we called in, it was 7 other properties that we were now looking at because of that one phone call.
There you go. That's awesome. All right, so my guy Alex done hooked you up, man. Get to work. Don't sleep on that. All right. Now let's do the other one. Actually, let's do a different type of search. I still want to look for cash buyers. Let's look for cash buyers in my market. So I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. How do we go about doing that?
Okay.
So let's say,
and you want to find active buyers in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is for somebody that's like, you know what? I like that idea. Let's do the reverse process. And let me go find some buyers first so I can see what they're looking for and then go find them deals.
Perfect. Can you share? Can you see my screen?
We are seeing it now. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So do you have a specific zip code you want to look in?
Let's see. Let's see if we can get a. What if we don't have a particular zip code?
It's okay. Let's just open it up to Atlanta.
Okay. Or here's one because Privy can do this, right? Let's look for the zip codes that already has a lot of sales that's taking place on market that will show us a hot area, and then we'll look for buyers in that area. Can we do that?
Okay, so how about we just take Atlanta, Georgia first?
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll add my filters. So what I'll do in the filters is, okay, we're location, Atlanta, Georgia. Let's drop it down, baby. Let's go down to 45%. We're gonna test the waters today.
Let's do it.
All right, so we'll take it down. We'll look at multifamily, attached, and single. The reason why I don't do too much condo is because it just kind of gets in my way. If I want to look for a condo, I'm just going to search that separate. Easier for me because of the buy boxes and stuff. So I just keep that. I just don't check that. So let's run our search and let's see what we get. All righty. So these are all of our Privy Preferred. Now, mind you, I do a lot of the Privy Preferreds. You guys can do your searches however you see fit for yourself. But I just do it like this because this gives me all my low ballers first. That way, I'm not having to look through all the high numbers. All right, so we want to find buyers, correct?
Yeah.
So let's click on this. Okay, let me just show you guys first. So what I see here is if I was to scroll out, it's gonna show me more more numbers instead of them all being kind of like this, but you'll get the numbers, like it'll say, okay, 28 or 32. It'll be the little blue circles.
So that's how we can tell which area has a lot of real estate activity.
Correct.
Okay.
In this case, I kind of opened it up first, but you want to click on the area that has the most inside of that buy box because you're going to have more ability to comp with those areas. If you're going to click up here on the 19,000, the 19K one, that's not going to help me because I can't find comps. So now that's going to be way more comping that I'm going to have to go figure out. And so I want to do what I can physically get done first, and then I can save all the other addresses for afterwards. Okay. So just for the show today, since we're on a time crunch, let's go ahead and click on something that has one that has a lot around here. So let's click on this 134 or 175. So we clicked on this. This is MLS data. It says it's been on listed for 202 days. So what I'm going to do is, and actually, no, I'm sorry, you guys. So go to sold. When you guys come down here, you want to, and you go to comparables, you're going to find your buyers by sold. So you want already the sold ones that are in that area.
Okay.
So in this area, I don't really too much see an actual investor, but you can still click on it and see who bought that specific property. But typically I do look for the investor, the investor arrows, which tells me that, an investor had bought it. So let's click on that and see if I can't find something for you guys. And remember, you guys, when you're doing this, you want to remember to when you click on it, you want to remember to do the sold, because it's going to give you the whole list of everything that's been in that area. And that's what you want, because that's how you're going to search for your buyers. So we can see that this one is another Privy Preferred. So let's go to the comparables. And we'll click on investor first and see if we can't find any. So here's an investment property right here. All right, so this one, let's click on this one. This one's MLS data. This one was sold on 8/24. Typically, I like to stay within that 60 to 90 day period to find buyers, because, and I'm going to tell you why, because yeah, this one was sold 8/24/22. You can skip trace and call the buyer, but I want to know that they're actively doing it. I want to know that they're actually actively out there doing it. Actually out there buying up properties. Okay, so here we go. This one was sold 124/23. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to scroll down to public records. Property history. Now, the property history is going to give you everything you need. So I know that Grant Tammy is actively buying in this area. This is how you find your buyers right here. So I know that he's actively buying right now. And I know that Aaron Caldwell has had that property since 2005. That's when he purchased that property. So I know that he lived there for a while, or he possibly rented it out. Whichever the case, he's a potential buyer as well, because you don't really know if he still buys properties or not, but it's still worth skip tracing and still worth trying to find out if Aaron is actively pursuing to buy property.
Perfect. Love that. So that's how you find all of your active buyers to be able to get a hold of, right? And kind of push things forward. So let's look at this address. Let me see how I can send this to you. So I'm going to send this over to you in the chat.
Okay.
This is the property over in Texas.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just give me 1 second. Let me look it up for you.
Mm-hmm. Now we're still seeing the Atlanta. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm about to go back and do it right now.
Okay, just want to make sure the screen isn't frozen.
All right. So what do we want to know?
So we're looking for cash buyers on this. This is one of the address that we got,
Okay.
and we need to find
Perfect.
some cash buyers.
All right. And so also know, you guys, too, you don't just have to look at this address. So in this area, in these areas, so I'm let me just go down here and finish this up first. So public records, and I'm going to go to property. Well, it tells me right here the owner from the assessor records. So you can do assessor records or property history. The only reason why I do the property history most of the time is because that's what's going to give me, for the most part, who bought it and who sold it. There is going to be times, you guys, where you don't find a buyer for that specific property, because sometimes what people do, and a lot of the investors are doing now, is they're doing it under their LLC or their trust. And a lot of those you can't skip trace. So it's really super difficult to find. And if they don't have a name or something to that effect in that area, in that spot, then you know that it's probably not, you're probably not going to find it. But in this case, we have it. And so the buyer for this specific house is right here, Hargis Richard. And he bought this house 10/25/2001. And then the seller was Wallingford Cheryl Sue, and she bought that house in 2000. So you can see that Cheryl is she bought it and then sold it that next year. So let's see what she bought it at. Okay, so the list price was 95, the sold was 91. That's what Cheryl sold it at to Richard, was for 98. And so you can definitely look up Hargis Richard, but let's say they didn't have names in here, because I want to show you guys something super important. And this is what I do to figure it out too, is what I do is I'll just go in that area. So if you take out this address right here and you go Nottingham Drive, it should pull up just that specific neighborhood. And so you'll be able to see, everything in that area. Well, you should be able to see everything that's being sold in that area. It's saying 0 properties found, but you just got to go in and fix your filters. I have my filter down here, so let's put it back up to 65 and see what.
Texas not moving the way Atlanta is, huh?
Right. So now here we have a whole bunch of houses in this area. So now this is just Nottingham. I put Nottingham Drive, Texas, but it's going to bring up, pretty much everything in that area. And so now you can just go through and click on the ones that you can see, and just click on and do the same thing over and over again. You want to see if they're actively flipping, actively looking. So let's go to public records. We'll find property history. We know that this specific house was listed just a little while ago, on 2/16, so it hasn't been on the market that long. If you scroll down, you can see that in 2018, there were 2 events in 2018. So Wheeler Jennifer R., she purchased the home 2018, and then now she's selling the home. So 2023, she's selling the home at a list price of $799. But according to this, it's a Privy Preferred. So you can still call her up and say, hey, I saw that you were selling your home, or, not her specifically, but now that it's on the market, I'm sure she has an agent. Please call the agent. The agent will know everything that you need to know, not just about this specific home, but they can tell you about every other home in that area probably that they have on the market. And you can find active buyers that way as well through the actual agent.
There you go. That's awesome. That's dope. Okay, so let's do this because we legit have been showing people the different ways to be able to find a buyer. Now let's look at a property and let's comp it. But this one's going to be a good one. I'm going to stomp you with this one because this one is going to be a duplex.
Okay.
All right, so I'm punching the address in here for you. It's 3413 Wind Ridge Drive. Hold up, sorry. Yeah, Wind Ridge Drive. And that is in Marietta, Georgia. All right, so I hope you guys are getting some feedback. If you are, please let us know in the chat if this is good, if there is something else you want to be able to learn and know how to do, because we don't want to just teach you the how, right? Because that's simple, that's easy. You can kind of figure it out. We want to teach you the why. Like, why do I do a search like this as opposed to like this other way, so that you can be able to have a better understanding of it. So I really want to make sure that, you know, if we're spending time together in the middle of the day, you know, we're giving you guys the you know, value that you want, that you need, so that you can be able to use this and make money. I don't want anyone thinking that there is no money to be made in real estate right now. That is not the truth. There is plenty of money to be made for two main reasons. Half of everybody else does have that thought process. So they're not doing anything. They're hands off. The other half is doing things, but you have to be able to pivot. How you do things is completely different. So we got this deal here. It's a duplex property. Somebody's trying to sell it. They send it to me. Now they're trying to sell it at a $600,000 price point, and it's being rented out now. So they're saying the property follows the 1% rule. And if you don't know what the 1% rule is, essentially, it depending on how much money you're getting for rent, you want to be able to command at least 1% as your sales price, right? So if I'm selling something for $600,000, then I should be able to get $6,000 a month in rent. Okay, that's the 1% rule. Now, just because that rule does exist doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy at that rule. Because what if you just so happen to got somebody who agreed to an aggressive rent payment, but next month the other person is like, I'm not paying this, right? So you got to be able to know, okay, well, what is the property worth? Because what if it's not a rental anymore? We just change it to something else. We need to know the value of the property. So how do we figure out the value of something that like this is it's a duplex?
Right. So I don't see anything. This is actually a good property to look up, because look at what we have here. I don't have anything. I don't have anything on Privy. So Privy is not giving me any information, and you guys will run into this. It's not an all the time thing, but because it's an off market deal and nobody has sold this house in a long time, or at least within the last 10 years, it's not coming up. And so what I do is I will go to Zillow or Redfin to look up my comps at that point, and to look up, again, it's a duplex. So the rules with multifamily stuff it's a little bit different with the comping rules. And that's something that I am just now learning. So, but yeah, that's what I would do. I would go on Google Maps. I would search Google Maps. I would also go onto Zillow and Redfin, and I would do my research on this as far as Zillow and Redfin is concerned, so that I can see, you know, what other duplexes are running at in that area. It's hard it's harder to comp duplexes for me because I am still learning to do the multifamily stuff. But I do it just like I would any other house in privy. Okay, don't do it like. I only do that in privy because that gives me kind of my my baseline. I don't use it to actually use my comps to send to my investors, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I just use that for my area as far as my baseline is concerned, so I can kind of get a feel for what that area is you know, going for. But I don't use that as an investor situation. I don't send those as comps at all.
Yeah. So that's a really good point. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up so that you guys can see like there's no exact science to doing this. Okay.
Yeah.
It's about being able to do it well and proficient. Now, one of the key things that Crystal was just saying that's important for you to understand is that even after you do all that, you still may not get a good number. Because remember,
Right.
what they're trying to sell the property at is not what the value of the actual home. Okay, so if you look it up on Zillow, you'll see the Zillow's estimate is 300,000. They're trying to sell
Right.
it for double the amount of Zillow, and we all know Zillow be wild. Okay, Zillow is super heavy with the digits. Like, oh yeah, you know, give it to them. You know what I'm saying? Zillow
Yes.
attitude is like we always round up. That's their motto, right? So
Right.
if Zillow is saying it's only worth like 300 something, and somebody's
Yeah.
gonna touch you with 600, that's when you gotta be like, whoa, wait a minute. Now,
Wait a second.
granted, in this email that I got, they said that they're getting about 3,000 per side. It's supposed to be a duplex. Now, Crystal mentioned go to Google Maps. Why go to Google Maps? So you can see the house. Now, when I went and I looked this property up, it's not set up as a duplex from the outside. It looks like a ranch. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a home that has some sort of conversion that was done. And now they're just selling, they've got two people renting both sides. We don't know if that conversion was legal or not. We don't know if it, you know, there's all these factors that you have to look in place. What I'm trying to say is when you are looking to underwrite a deal, make sure you are comping a deal. And I said underwrite, sorry, that's multifamily talk. When you're comping a deal, make sure you're comping it, but also make it make sense. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't make sense for you, it's not going to make sense for the buyer you're trying to sell to.
Now, let's just say that that specific duplex had, you know, they just built it up. Like, let's just say they went in there and they put, you know, thousands of dollars worth of work into the duplex and it was just gorgeous. Then at that point, it might be worth the 600,000. But then again, you have to use your own knowledge still, right? Because, and you've been doing multifamily a lot longer than I have, but correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I would do. I would think about it first, because if it doesn't, like you said, if it doesn't make sense in your head, you're not going to be able to make it make sense on paper.
Yeah.
You know?
So in a scenario like this, and we got one more that we'll go a little bit over, and we'll comp this one. I don't know if you see it in the chat on the side. But in a scenario like this, everybody, what I would do. So do you have to? Here's a question that we got before I answer that. It says, do you have to be on two separate meters in order to get duplex? Technically, by the city, yes, it should be separate meters. But does everybody do everything that you're supposed to do? Sometimes no, right? So you have some homes that have been like that for years that are still operating in that same format of 1 meter.
Right.
Now, another thing I would do is saying that is I would just look out for what is my buy. This is why it's important. Why I told you guys you should be reverse wholesaling now. You should be working with 5 buyers. Because here's the thing, you would have never spent time on this deal if your buyer didn't tell you I'm looking for buy and hold properties in this area. Somebody would have sent you the deal and you would have been like, oh, whatever. And it would have been a done deal, right? So it's super, super important for you to be able to understand that and know if this is not a deal that your buyers want, don't worry about it. If it is a deal your buyers want, then the best thing that you can do is the best thing that you can do is essentially ask your buyer, right? Like ask your buyer, hey, do you like this? Is this something that makes sense for you? And if so, cool. If not, keep on moving, keep on trucking.
Right. And Tisha, we do the I noticed you had said California. I do we can do that in the Privy Masterclass. So if you guys sign up for the Privy Masterclass, it's all we just here to help guys out and get you guys learning and taught. So if you want to come to the master class, just sign up, please. And I can definitely go over more one-on-one stuff with you guys in the master class. When we're on here, it's crunch time. So
your sound went out, Crystal.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I can definitely answer all your questions in the Privy Master class, and we can get to California, at that point, if you want to.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So let's look up this last address.
Mm-hmm.
Do you got it?
Was that the
194 Hurt?
Oh, hold on, let me check. Oh no, I didn't get that one.
Okay, so it's 194 Hurt Road.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did. I'm sorry, I wrote that down. My bad. All right.
I'm gonna try to see if I can grab the link. Here it is. I got it. So if you guys are on here, I'll put the link in the chat for you. And if you don't have Privy, I'll put that link in here for you as well. All right, let me go back to sharing the screen. Here we go.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this is 194 Hertz Road. I think that's the right one, right? Southeast?
Yeah.
All right, so this has been active on the list for 10 days. It is on the MLS, so what you see is what you get. Let's go through these pictures right quick so I can kind of just see what we're looking at. Please always go through the pictures and do me one more favor. Always read your property remarks. I can't stress that enough. They're going to tell you everything that you need to know for the most part. I mean, you're going to have to call and ask too, but for this right here, please just read it so you can see. It says appointment only. They want to sell it as is. So there's nothing else. They just want to sell it as is. Heavy rehab. So you know what's going to need, you're going to have to put your numbers a little bit higher for this one. All right. So let's go to comparables. We want to see, I want to know, what's selling in that area, you guys. So this kind of tells you, so this is telling me that there's no comparables found for this specific one. So that just means that there's nothing within a mile or within 5 miles, within a mile or 5 miles. There's nothing in this area that you can physically compare this to, that Privy can compare it to give to you. So what I would do next is I would see what else is selling in this area. Sometimes Privy is wrong, and if you scroll in, there are going to be times where you can pull up something that may be a little further away, but if you see where you're on a whole road, and so you don't really want to cross, you don't want to go up over here. This is why Privy's not allowing you to use these. And this is important for your comparables, you guys. I can't stress it enough. You don't want to cross any major highways. You don't want to cross any major roads. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So what I would do in this case is I would take this address and go to Zillow or Redfin. I would also look it up on Google Maps and see what Google Maps shows me as far as what the house or the property actually looks like on Google Maps. And then I would go to Redfin and Zillow and find my comps at that point for that specific property. Let me see. And one more thing, you guys, you can, so let me see. Do you want to pull that one up, or do we have time for that? Or
to pull it on Zillow?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm just curious if Zillow has it. Sometimes when Privy doesn't have it, sometimes Zillow won't have it either, because especially if it's a MLS area, and this looks like things are on the MLS in this specific area on Privy. So sometimes you won't find it either.
Yeah, so here's the property right here, 194 Hurt. It is listed. So here we are here.
Okay, so pretty much shows everything the same as Privy.
Yeah. So typically what I would do on here is just kind of back out of this. And normally it kind of gives you the property that's in that area, but I like to go a little bit deeper because it's going to give you all of Smyrna, and I really want just the neighborhood. And I type in the address there. I go into more. I tried to do the year built. Do you remember what the year built was on that one?
I can tell you right now, it is. Sorry, I'm just looking.
So while she's doing that, I already changed sold in last, and
1961.
I changed this to sold in last 30 days, and she said 1961. So I'm gonna do 1960 to 1970.
So why is that important?
So typically, houses tend to hit a 10-year window. I don't really know why. I want to say it's because builders and contractors, as things develop, just get tired, and it was like, hey, we want to do something different. So they build a different style of house. And normally in neighborhoods where you have a bunch of houses are being built, let's say a house is built in 61, it's built inside of a neighborhood. It probably took the greater part of a year or two to actually build it, and then they build others in other subdivisions nearby. So let's say that neighborhood has a good 5 years before everything in different subdivisions is actually built out all the way. Then you typically have another 5 more years before builders start to realize they can do a different style of building in a different closer location to it. So I think that's it. We'll probably have to ask the builder, but it opens it up because now when I'm looking through this, you see I'm looking at houses that are very similar in build to my house. Because I can't, let's say, for example, this house is a commercial, right? But I can't compare this as a comp to this house. It will not work because you have to remember you're comparing apples to apples. That's the only thing that works. Oranges to oranges. So here I'm looking at some properties. Now I would go in to kind of see, obviously these are all sold. So there's activity here that's showing, but these are like, all the way fixed up, right? Like this one sold for 500,000. Now what I would do is I would come in here and I would go from low to high. Why am I going from low to high? Because the property that I'm trying to sell is a property that needs to be fixed up as is, right? So I already know that this is a deal that I need to find out what is other cash buyers buying properties for that need to be fixed up. So typically cash buyers are going to pay the lowest prices possible. Right. So here I have this property here that sold for 205. This sold for 255. Now the one thing you do have to remember though is this is just giving me this whole map area. So even though I'm looking and I'm seeing what the typical prices are, I would still need to make sure I remember where my property is, which was on Hurt, which I believe is like right here somewhere. I would have to make sure I remember where my property is and then be able to have a better understanding of like, okay, here's mine. Now, even on Zillow, you see, there's no comps. There's nothing that's sold in the last 30 days on or around this area on Hurt.
Right.
All right. So let's say I wanted to change this, right? Like so let's go back 90 days. Let's see if that changes anything. Okay, here we go. We have one that sold for 271, and this one sold for 285. So let's take a look at this 271. Let's see what it looks like. All right, so sorry, home details. Okay, this is a gem, true for buyers out there. 3.2s, carport, beautiful shade. Now, why am I reading this? I'm looking for keywords.
Right.
Right. I'm looking to see if there was anything that states if this was recently renovated or et cetera, et cetera. I'm not seeing anything really. So, and being that it's sold at this price, I want to say that it didn't necessarily sell to a fix and flipper, but it just sold to just regular family. Now, what you could do is you could take this address, punch it into Privy, and see who brought it. Was it an LLC? Who sold it before it got sold to this person, right? But that's how I would do it, and I would be able to find out who was the previous buyer for this and what did they buy it at, and then try to reach out to that person. Here's one here that sold across the street. We can't use it, but it sold for 196. Look at the condition, right? Looks bad, or maybe it was just a rainy day when they took this picture and it made it worse. The point is, this condition sold for 196.
Don't you like how they make them smaller too? Like they make them look like they're just super small, and then they do the rehab, and then all of a sudden it's just this beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful, right? This sold for 271. So what I would be doing at this point is playing the comparison game. I'd be looking at my property. I'd be looking at these two properties, and even though they're not considered my comp, I'm not looking for that at this point because there is none. What I'm looking for is projection of what I think it could be.
Yeah.
Just so I can have a conversation with my buyer. If I send it to my buyer, I can have that conversation and say, I think that this property is worth this price. What do you think?
Now answer me this though. So when you're doing that, I just want to pick your mind for a second.
Yeah.
So when you're doing this and say you call the buyer and you're letting the buyer know, hey, I have this property, blah, blah, blah. Do you actually let them know? Because for me, I have noticed that when I let them know, hey, I don't really have specific comps to prove that, this is a good buy, but because I know my area, and you've already bought from me before, whatever the case may be, even if they haven't bought from you, do you let them know that, you don't have comps for that, any specific comps for that house? Or do you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if this was 6 months ago, a year ago, no, I would have made sure I got comps. But because the market is different, I'll be damned if a buyer tell me like, well, you should have got comps. Well, you go get me there. Come show me where they at, because I was looking, right? So I'm straight up front, right? And this is why it's so beneficial to work with just a small amount of cash buyers, because then they know you, right? You're not just shooting through whatever. Like, hey, listen, I looked for some comps, I couldn't find anything. This is what I think it's worth, but what do you think it's worth, right? And then take the information. Now, this one's listed on market, but whether it's on market or you're going to go back to the seller itself, take that information and say, listen, my partners are thinking that the property could sell for this price all the way fixed up, so we would need to buy it at this price. Because there is no comps that's readily available, this is the issue I'm having. Say that to the agent. Say that to the homeowner. Let them know this is the price I need to get it at. The good thing about having a buyer on toes, if the buyer says I need it at 200,000, ain't much negotiating that need to happen. If you want to make 10K, you need to get it at 190. Sell it to your buyer at 200. Everybody's happy. If you can't get it at 190, move on, but follow up. But move on, right? Talk to the agent. If the agent's like, oh, well, the seller really wanted 200,000, right? Let's see, what was the seller? What was the seller? Seller wanted 200. Okay, seller wanted 200,000. I'll talk to the agent and be like, I would love to give you 200,000. My partner is thinking there's no way in hell we can do that because of there's no comps. Can you find me some comps that sold in the last 30 days? Put the ball in their court, right? Don't let them
Yes.
put pressure on you to be able to provide. Remember, they are the ones that's trying to sell the house. They have to be able to sell the house. So yes.
Yeah, and typically your investors know their buy box anyway. They know exactly what they want for the most part.
Yeah.
They know exactly what their area is. A lot of investors already know that. So it's a really okay for you guys to tell them, hey, I don't really have any specific comps for this area, but you know, I really do believe that this is a good deal and this is why.
Yeah.
You know, and then they can do their own due diligence and figure out, okay, whether they want to buy it or not.
Yep. And I say 5 to 10 cash buyers is all you need. That can hold you over for the whole entire year. You can be easy heavy and less stress too, right? Like, because you're not looking at every deal. If you have 5 to 10 buyers that are all in the same like 3 zip codes, oh my gosh, like you hit the jackpot, right? Because you don't.
Yeah.
People could be JVing deals with you and sending you deals from all over the place, and you're like, nope, if it's not 3 zip codes, I don't want to look at it because none of your buyers, right? So it makes it easier for you. And yeah, Kuman said that she had that same problem too, finding comps in Atlanta. And it's going to get more and more like that as you see the market tighten up a little bit and sales slow down even more. But this too shall pass, right? It will change. It doesn't mean you have to sit on the sideline and not make any money in the meantime. So what I want to do is I definitely want to make sure you guys can get in contact with Crystal. I put the chat and everything for the master class. So you guys could definitely get a sign up, right? If you don't have Privy, get Privy. And then also make sure you get in contact with her. There's an email right there. You can't really enjoy that masterclass if you don't have Privy. So that's why we're saying get Privy. Do we care if you get Privy? I don't. I know Krista does. Like we're still doing what we do, right? But I would love for you to be able to get it so you can use it. And some of these deals that you guys are having trouble selling, this is where creative finance comes into play, right? This is why that's my love language, right? Because everybody else is just like, oh, this deal's not going to work at this price. And I get to come in and try to see if I can solve the problem. And the most important thing is the wholesaler can still make money. The agent makes money. Now they become your best friend. And the seller can get what they want from in the first place, right? So that's why creative finance works. But as a last resort, a lot of you are trying to do creative finance and you're pushing that first. It's never going to work that way. You want it as a last resort is what you use to save the day. So with that being said, I mean, we went over, but I think it was worth it, right? What do you think?
Yes.
All right. Here's what we want to do. Make sure you tune in. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. We're going to keep doing these episodes. And right now we're solely focused on Privy because we want you guys to be able to have one tool to master it. Then we'll bring in others and make it work that way. All right.
Yeah, you guys don't need multiple tools. We got this. Let's just start with Privy. Let's work with it. I can show you guys everything you need to know.
Yeah, listen, you don't even need like 4 of y'all could be on Privy at the same time. Okay. You don't need to like be buying all these tools or spending all this money, especially if you're not making money. It doesn't make sense. I filled out the form. I'm gonna start calling buyers ASAP and get 10. Let's go. That's why
let's go. Let's get it.
Do that, and glad that you're taking action. If you need help, you guys know Chris will put an email in there. If you need to get in contact with me, you can find me on IG. It is thisdadflips, spelled like that. You can find me on IG if you have a deal you want our help with. Definitely reach out to us, and we got you. All right. There you go. Crystal, you got anything else you want to tell the people?
No, I think that we had a great day today. I'm excited for you guys. Let's get this going. Let's get these deals going. Just know that when you guys sign up for the masterclass, you don't have to necessarily purchase Privy right away. I can send you guys a link for Privy if you guys haven't signed up. The link will give you guys a little bit off and just help y'all out for the first month. And let's just get it going. I really want you guys to come up on the come up. So let's get this done.
There you go. All right, everybody.
Let's get it done.
Appreciate you, Crystal, as always. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Everybody else, we love you guys. Have a great one.
Yes.
Peace.
Awesome.